Etta met Harvey Fuqua. He'd become her first real boyfriend. Among other things, Etta was drawn to him because he was so dark-skinned. The two of them dated for a couple of years. While Etta was faithful, Harvey wasn't. Meanwhile, Etta was spending her money buying Harvey diamonds, gold chains, and different gifts to help her keep him. In the end, of course, none of that worked. However, through Harvey, she met a man named Bobby Lester. He was the one that told Etta that if she wanted to be a star, she should get with the guys at Chess Records. The label was based in Chicago. Taking him at his word, sometime later, Etta bought a bus ticket for herself and her friend Abby to go to Chicago to see the Chess Brothers. She and Abby initially stayed at the hotel when they got there. After several attempts to see someone at Chess, Etta had no luck. And after a short amount of time, both of those girls were flat broke. They were even afraid to leave the room because they were afraid that the hotel manager would lock them out because they were so far behind in their bill. However, Etta met her saving grace in Greg Harris. Harris was an Air Force lieutenant who just so happened to be staying at the hotel. He was also a big fan of Etta's music. When Etta told him her story and her current situation, Harris told her that he'd pay off her hotel bill, and he also told her that he'd get her a deal with Leonard Chess at Chess Records. Etta agreed, and true to his word, Harris paid the hotel bill. Additionally, he got Etta out of her deal with Modern Records, then brokered a deal with Chess Records. Etta arrived at just the right time, because while Chess had numerous male artists, the same wasn't true when it came to female artists. As a result, Leonard Chess was looking to sign female singing stars. The funny part about the situation was that he had a future singing star right under his nose. At the time, Minnie Riperton was working as a receptionist at Chess Records. Later, Minnie would become famous primarily for her song, Lovin' You. Initially, Etta was hired as a writer and a singer. One of the first songs she cut for Chess was All I Could Do Was Cry, which would become a hit. Meanwhile, her pseudo-boyfriend Harvey Fuqua came up with the idea to book dates that included Etta. Believe it or not, the tour also included a shake dancer named Titty Tassel Tony. Harvey also put together a new set of his group, the Moonglows. This included a young 21-year-old shy guy named Marvin Gaye. He was so shy that when women chased him, he ran away from them. However, a couple of times, Tassel Tony caught him. Afterwards, she complained that Marvin wouldn't go downtown on her. On top of that, Tony was just too aggressive for Marvin, which irritated him. One night, they were arguing in the club after a gig, and Tony called Marvin a mofo, then slapped him upside his head. Afterwards, while they were walking back to their hotel, they got into it again, and this time it got physical. Tony was scratching at Marvin while he was trying to manhandle her. Then all of a sudden, Marvin let out a blood-curdling scream, and he followed that up by yelling, "She bit me! She bit me in the stomach!" Marvin was also bleeding, as Tony had indeed taken a chunk out of Marvin and had it between her teeth. As a result, Gaye had a scar on his stomach for the rest of his life. On this tour, Harvey was cheating on Etta, which she was aware of. However, she let it slide because she just didn't want to rock the boat. Meanwhile, both Etta and Harvey were cheating on their record label. Harvey had gotten Kent Records to record he and Etta under the name Betty and Dupree on the songs I Hope You're Satisfied and We're in Love. While on the road, Etta and the crew enjoyed indulging in weed. They used to keep their stash in a Prince Albert can, which Etta kept in her room. One night, though, without telling anyone, Tassel Tony took some of the weed out of the tin. Then she rolled it, she tied it in a bow, and clipped it to the back of her bra. The next morning, the group had to pull over to get a new battery for one of the cars they were traveling in, and also to get some gas. When Tassel Tony got out of the car, the joints that she had rolled up fell out of the bow she had hidden them in. While none of her group saw the joints fall out, the gas station attendant did. He immediately called the cops, while also telling the mechanic who was changing the battery to stall them until the police could get there. Meanwhile, Etta had the Prince Albert tin can with the rest of the stash hidden in her bosom. Finally, the battery change was complete and the group left. However, about 10 miles after they started driving, 6 police cars were blocking the road ahead. Cops also had the road blocked off behind their car. The group was then forced to drive to Beaumont, Texas. While being escorted into police headquarters, Abby, thinking she could hide the Prince Albert can better than Etta could, whispered to Etta for her to give her the can. Etta gave it to her, at which point Abby dropped the can, and the weed spilled everywhere in front of the cops. With that, the whole crew got booked. However, Abby argued that she should cop to the weed being hers. Her reasoning was that if Etta went to jail, she couldn't earn any money. However, if Abby went instead, Etta could earn money to hire a lawyer to get Abby out of jail. So that's exactly how the situation played out. Etta began performing at a local club in Beaumont, and after a few weeks, she got Abby a lawyer who got her out of jail. After this adventure, once she got back to Chicago, Etta recorded her signature song, At Last, which became a big hit. It had some people calling her the new Dinah Washington, which Etta was flattered by. Some people called Washington the Queen, a title that the temperamental Washington took very seriously. This would soon create a problem for Etta. Not long after this, Etta had a gig, and she found out that Dinah Washington was in the audience. Upon hearing this, instead of doing her regular set, Etta decided to open with Dinah's song, Unforgettable. She didn't make it through the song. About halfway through it, Etta heard a loud crash. Dinah had swept the glasses off her own table. She then started yelling at Etta, "Girl, don't you ever sing the Queen's songs." In tears, Etta ran off stage to her dressing room. Next, her road manager was telling her, "Miss Washington wants to see you." Before Etta could respond, Washington had already came in the room. Then she started to speak. Quote, "Don't ever pull an issue like that. Not when I'm around," unquote. Dinah scolded Etta. Tears started up all over again for Etta, at which point Dinah came over and put her arms around Etta. "I'm sorry, baby. I lost my temper. But I meant what I said. You had to learn a lesson. Never sing another artist's song if she's in the house. Never," Dinah told her. "Yes, ma'am," Etta meekly replied. We're going to take a time out from our story to ask you to like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that notification bell, and repeat when it comes to our videos. Now, back to our story. From that point on, Dinah became a mother figure of sorts for Etta. She worried about Etta because of how wild she was. Both Dinah and Sarah Vaughan said that Etta was like a young Billie Holiday, and that wasn't a compliment. Meanwhile, Chess Records was happy with the direction that Etta's music was going. She was singing standards, which some people touted as modern music. To Etta, she was singing songs from previous decades. Either way, she felt the standard songs were a natural fit for her as they allowed her to be herself. During this time, in 1960, Etta was about to lose the first boyfriend she ever had. Leonard Chess loaned Gwen Gordy, Berry Gordy's sister, $1,500 to start her own record label, which she named Anna Records. Chess wanted to protect his investment, so he sent Fuqua to Detroit to check out how Gwen was doing business. While Harvey was checking out her operation, he was also checking out Gwen. Fuqua liked what she had going on, and he decided to go into business with her. He also began sleeping with her. They both were leaving behind significant others. While Harvey was leaving Etta, Gwen was leaving her fiancé, Billy Davis. On top of all that, Gwen helped Fuqua start his own record label, Harvey Records. Later, Fuqua would marry Gwen, and still later, his brother-in-law Barry merged both Anna and Harvey's record labels into his Motown label. Meanwhile, Marvin Gaye began dating Gwen and Barry's sister Anna, who he later married. Strangely enough, Billy Davis would leave Detroit, move to Chicago, and join Chess Records as a producer. He'd go on to produce Etta's hit song, Stop the Wedding, in 1962. Around this time, Etta started dabbling in drug use. Heroin soon became her drug of choice. When she was clean, she always felt vulnerable and anxious. However, when she was high, she felt unapproachable and mellow. She got into it so deeply that soon it was common knowledge that Etta was a junkie. Because of that fact, and not because of her talent, other people besides Sarah Vaughan and Dinah Washington began comparing her to Billie Holiday too. That didn't bother Etta because she liked being compared to Billie. In fact, Once she found out Billy's routine when she was about to get her fix, Etta copied her and began doing the same routine because she thought it was cool. As a byproduct of her abuse, the chubby Etta began losing weight for the first time as an adult, and she now felt skinny and sexy. Her manager, John Lewis, didn't help Etta's situation. Lewis's wife, Artie, who liked to hang out with Etta, was also a junkie. Lewis kept them both with as much dope as they could handle. In the early 1960s, Etta had several hits in a row, so for the first time she was a headliner when she went on tour. That didn't stop her from hanging out as often as possible with three of her closest friends: weed, cocaine, and heroin. After her shows, Etta would go kick it with gangsters and pimps while indulging. Having said that, she'd also go long stretches where she wouldn't use it all. It was during one of these times that she decided to become a Muslim. Initially, she was drawn to the religion because she and her friend Abby were bored. As a result, they began going to a local temple. Mostly, they were drawn to the temple because of how good they thought the clean-cut Muslim guys looked. In fact, Etta later reflected that it was the brothers who converted her to Islam. She began calling herself James Etta X. Later reflecting, she said her Muslim phase was something of a fad and the thing to do at the time. A little later, Etta had an opportunity to work with James Brown. While she thought Brown was great, she also thought he was a little dictator. Brown had a song, You Got the Power, that he sung as a duet with B. Ford. However, Ford got pregnant and could no longer tour. As a result, Brown asked Etta to sing Ford's part, and Etta agreed to do it. Jackie Wilson was also on that tour, but Brown was the headliner. At one tour stop, late in the afternoon, Brown asked Etta to buy him a particular style of long black knee socks. The socks were hard to find, and it took Etta quite some time to locate a pair. As a result, she was a little late getting back to the show. When she got there, James was mad as a wet hen. "Where you been?" he demanded. He was so mad he didn't even give her a chance to answer. "Don't even tell me. You're fired." "I'm what?" "Can't do that," Etta responded. "Hell, I can't. You watch me," a still angry Brown retorted. He then motioned for one of his men, who was carrying a .45, to come over and handle Etta. "Mr. Brown expects his artists to be punctual," the man told Etta. "I ain't one of Mr. Brown's damn artists. I'm just doing him a favor by singing for B. And second of all, the only reason I'm late is because I had to run all over town chasing after these stupid socks he wants to pull up to his damn knees." "She's fired. Get her and her big mouth out of here," Brown chimed in. At that point, Jackie Wilson joined the conversation to protect Etta. "If she goes, then I'm going too," Wilson said. Knowing that he needed Wilson for the show, Brown relented, and magically, Etta was unfired. Thank you all for checking out our video. We appreciate you spending time with us. We're ending part 3 right here. Thanks again, and see you soon.